Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. A couple of weeks ago I did a video showing you how to make a long or large tote that had multiple pockets on the inside. So it was a divided tote. In the comments there were several requests for a few things that you would like to see in that particular bag. One was how to put a zip in, so today I'm going to show you how to put a zip inside the bag. And you can apply this technique to any type of bag that you might have, whether it be one of those big supermarket shopping totes or a big picnic bag. If you want to have something and you just want to put a quick zip in there, this will be the technique for you. Somebody else wanted a magnet in there or a magnetic closure. I'll be putting one of those in as well. And somebody else or a couple of people had asked how to go about putting box corners in, or how to convert this flat bag to one with box corners. That's what we're going to do in this video today. I've already gone and done it, and this is it here. So we've got a zip in the top, box corners for both sides of the bag, and because this is essentially two bags joined together. And we also have the magnetic closure in the center, which if you're using a laptop or an iPad or a tablet or something, you may not want to put a magnetic closure in. You might want to use Velcro instead. So all of those things that you've asked for are coming right up. Let's get to it. So let's work on the box corner first. And if I were to make this bag from scratch, this is the way I would probably go and do the box corners anyway. I would do it at the end of the bag. So we've got two flaps here, and the distance from this stitching line down is just over 1¼ inches, so we can't make our box corner any bigger than that. Now I'm going to do French seam box corners, so we don't even have that much room either. So what I'm going to do is pop a pin just on the fold here. Maybe I'll use a straight pin, and I'll insert that pin just along this fold, just to use as a guide. You could go and put a chalk line there if you want to. Put your hand in on one side, because we're going to have to do all of these four corners individually. Separate the fabric, and you want this to come out into a point. This pin mark here needs to line up with this stitching line on the other side. So as long as you have that nice and straight and in line with that, you'll be fine. And this is the end point of any box corners that we can do. We do need to come up a little bit more because we need to make an allowance for the seam. I think what I will do is measure down 1 inch from the corner, from the point at the top, and make a mark straight across there. And then we can pin those layers together. So this mark I've made is going to be my stitching line. And I'll do the same for the other 3 corners. If you feel that that 1 inch is too big, then you can make that a little bit smaller. You can make it, say, 3/4 inch or 2 centimeters from the point. It's still going to give you a decent sized box corner. So once again, I'll line up this seam with that pin mark, which is the bottom of the bag. And then I'll measure down 1 inch or 2½ centimeters. I think I might make this 3/4 inch instead, which is 2 centimeters. And that will give me plenty of room for doing the French seam when we turn it the other way. I think that'll be much more comfortable. And we're still going to have a box corner or an opening at the bottom of about 1½ inches, which is 4 centimeters. So I'll just go and fix this end. And if you're using a friction pen, you can use the other end of the pen and just rub off that line that we'd already marked. The iron will work as well. And on this side we'll do the same. I'll just pop a pin in the bottom there. And the reason I'm putting my hand in is just to make sure that the fabric on the inside, the lining fabric, is spread apart without any wrinkles. And that's lined up nicely. And we'll do the same 2 centimetres or 3/4 of an inch. One more corner to go. All right, let's go and stitch those corners down. So we're going to sew directly over that line that we've marked. Flip it around and we'll do the other side. All right, these are the box corners now. We do need to trim off these little ears. So I'm going to cut really close to the stitching line, probably about 1/8 of an inch away from the stitching. And there's no turning back now. This is going to have box corners permanently. Okay, so we've trimmed that off really close to the stitching line. And what we need to do now is turn this bag inside out, and we can only turn it out inside out one side at a time. So that means that we can only work on one box corner at a time. So turn that, poke your corners out and just stick your fingers in there and poke those edges out so that sits nice and evenly. And then we can grab our clips, hold that in place, and here as well. And we can turn the bag inside out again to find the other opening. So we can just bring all of that together. And we'll find the other box corners. And then you'll go in between these layers here. Push that out, and the clips from the other box corner is down here somewhere, well out of the way. So I've pushed this out with my fingers. And we'll do the same on this side. So it's very quick and very simple to do this. Okay, so the other clips are here and sitting here. They're well out of the way of the stitching. We can go back to the machine now and sew right across here. And when you sew across there, you want to make sure that you enclose that raw edge on the other side. So I can feel the fabric ends around about here. So my stitching will be about 1/8 of an inch further in. And you'll do that for these two. Once you've done that, you can go back to the other side, turn the bag inside out again to find the other two clips, and we'll do the same. Let's do that. If you're uncertain as to where the fabric ends on the inside, the presser foot that you have, this is my zipper foot, but whichever one you have on, the edge of the presser foot will be a great guide for you, because that will sit beside the fabric, and then you've got the needle in the middle of the presser foot there. So there's plenty of room or allowance for you to stitch across without frayed edges showing on the other side. that's one side done, and we'll repeat for the other one. And with these corners boxed on this side of the bag, we can go back in and find the opening on this side, turn it all inside out again, and you'll find those clips. Now I still have my hand inside the bag, and I just want to make sure the corner that I've just finished is out of the way. So I'm just moving that out of the way into the bag, and I'll do the same on these corners. And again for this other corner, I'll just make sure that the corner I've already finished is well out of the way and that everything is sitting nice and flat. So that's all done now. We've got the box corners done on this one. You can't see the other side. Let's turn it all the right way out so that we can double check that it's worked. So that side's looking good. Put your hand in on this side, and that side's looking good. And here and here as well. Very nice. If you want to have more structured bases for your bag, like it is on the side here, you can go from corner to corner and stitch right across here. But that's completely up to you. I'm not going to do that. If I don't like it as it is, I might do that later on. So anyway, we've got our box corners done on both sides of the bag now, which means that you're going to have a good amount of space on the inside of the bag here. Now keep in mind that the box corner that we've got here now, it is about 5.5 centimetres or 2.25 inches in width. This has actually decreased the height of the bag as well by the amount that we've actually boxed the corner. So it's about an inch or so shorter than it was before. But it's still a really good size. So if you want to keep the original height, you will need to add an extra couple of inches to the overall length of the fabric that you cut. So that's that done. Now we can put the zip in. Now the width of this is 13 inches or 33 centimetres. And the zip that I have here is a regular dress zip, and it's about 15 or 15.5 inches, which is about 38 to 40 centimetres. Now we're going to put it in directly over the top of the outer fabric pieces here. And the first thing we're going to do is take the tab at the top here and fold that out to the side. And we'll do the same on this side. And you can stitch that in place. So we can work on the other end now. We'll be cutting off this little metal tab. We're just making a decorative little feature at the end. So I've got 3 inches across this way, 2.5 inches down that way. So I'm going to place my fabric faced up, my zipper tape faced down, and these little metal clips are going to sit outside the fabric. Fold this fabric over, press it in place, fold this side over as well, and you want to snugly wrap the zipper tape, and we can press that. And then we're going to sew right across here with about 1/4 inch seam allowance. You just want to make sure you don't stitch over any metal there. I'm going to quickly go and do that, and I'll be right back. So that's been sewn across there. We can now trim this, and we want to get rid of this metal. And then grab this fabric and we'll just peel it back. press those edges, and we'll fold the raw edge at the top here, and then fold everything back in again. And once you've got all those raw edges tucked under, you can fold this in one more time, and we're going to bring it all the way to the edge of the zipper tape. And this can go back to the machine, and we can sew across, down, across, and over the zip again. So you want to make sure that the fabric underneath is in line with this fabric at the top. When you stitch over the top here, you're going to catch all of those layers. And if you like, you can sew diagonally across as well. And you can safely do that because you've got rid of those metal teeth. And whilst I'm at the machine, I'm just going to put a couple of stitches in here so that that doesn't come apart. And on this side as well. All right, we now have our fully prepared zipper tape to install into the bag. So from here, you can use this technique to put into any bag that you might have. If you wanted to put something into the supermarket shopping totes, you could do this quite easily with this technique. So I've got this side here, which is the back side of the bag. I'll just move this out of the way for the moment. And this bag doesn't have a back or front, so it really doesn't matter which side you put the zip in. We want this side with the slider to go into the corner or the edge of the bag, and this end will hang out as a tail, and that just allows extra room for opening up your bag. We want the zip to sit up like that. So rather than getting confused and not knowing which way to lay it out, you're better off placing the zip onto the fabric like this, with a good comfortable distance from the top of the seam, and you can pin that in place, and you can open the slider all the way so that everything's out of your way, and you can stitch that all the way down to the other end. I'm going, because we're only inserting the tab on its own, we're not putting another lining over it, I'm going to stitch this twice. So the first time is going to be close to the top edge of the zip, and then I'm going to do another row of top stitching down the bottom, like you see on jeans when you have 2 rows of stitching, and that way that'll keep that edge tape sitting down nice and flat as well. I don't want the tape sticking out at the end, so I will move this in just slightly. So I've moved that in just a little bit there, and we'll line this up along the top. We just want the zip peeking out along the top edge there so that you can comfortably close it and it won't get stuck. So we'll go and sew that side on first. We want to keep the back side or the other side of the bag out of the way, and this handle will need to be over to our right, and you'll need your zipper foot for this. And if you're making this bag all in one and you're going to add the zip in at the end, don't do that last row of top stitching on the bag. You can add the zip as well as the top stitching all at the same time, and then you don't have this pink row that I'm now going to cover with a purple row. So you can go and put some double-sided tape on or some pins if you want to, but everything's structurally sound, so I think it's just as easy to hold it in place as you go. and back stitch at the end. So that side of the zip is securely in place now, and you can see that this tab or the tape is a little bit loose, so we're going to sew about 1/4 of an inch away from the first stitching line just to keep that nice and flat. So that's one side of the zipper inserted into the bag. If you want to, you can cut off this little tab. And now we need to install the other side. So let's close up this zip. And once again, we're going to have a look and see how it's supposed to look from the outside. So bring that across. We want the top sitting over the top of the zip here. And that will close that up nicely. So what we can do now is open this up and hold that in place with your finger and thumb, or whichever fingers you've got. And without moving its starting position, line that up and just clip about 1 inch or so in place so that you can make a start on this. And if you like, you can put some double-sided tape on that and hold it in place, but I'll be fine without it. Okay, for the other side, what we're going to do is roll up the bottom of the bag just so that we can comfortably fit that under the throat space of your machine. On this side, we're going to move the other side of the bag to the back. We don't want to stitch over that. And then we're going to place the top edge that we want to sew under the machine and then start sewing. And keep this nicely lined up as you move along. And once you finish that first row, we can come back from the end that we can start at the end that we've just finished and do that second row of top stitching. And that should be the zipper fully enclosed. So we've got a nice wide flap along the side here. If you had a much bigger bag, like the shopping bags, and there was nothing holding it together in the centre, you could use a really long zip and it would give you a much bigger opening for your bag. So there we have it. Our bag is now fully enclosed with boxed corners. Now, somebody asked for a magnet, so I'm going to put a magnet in here as well. But I'm not going to put the type that have the little washers in there. We're going to cheat and put a pressable magnet in. So if you've already made a bag and you want to put a magnet in, or Velcro for that matter, you can just stitch the Velcro straight in place where you want it. But these magnets here, you can actually hand sew them in place. So say you wanted to have that in between these layers here, mark the position of your magnet and you can sew that in place and then that'll open and close. We obviously don't need this on these sides because we've got a zip there. The other option you've got once you've made a bag, or if you've forgotten to put your magnetic closures in, is to use something like this. You've got your magnet and then you've got this little flange that folds over your fabric, and you just place that on the very top of your fabric and squeeze it together, and then you've got your magnetic closure. So we'll find the center of this bag, and I'll just pop a pin into that center piece of fabric. So that's the center of my fabric there. And I'll make a mark where I'd like my magnets to sit. And then all I've got to do is either stitch that in place, or with this one here, I'll place the magnetic side faced up for this piece of fabric sitting at the back. Place that over the top. Grab some pliers or some kind of tool that'll help you press the metal together. You can clamp it shut or hammer it down until that sits in place. And for the other side, flip it over, place the magnet onto the magnet, and then you can position that on the edge of the fabric. You can press it down, but it does take a lot of energy to do that. So there we go. All of those tasks that I've been assigned have been completed. We've got a really cool looking zip at the top of the bag. The magnetic enclosure is done, and the box bags as well. So you'll be able to get lots of stuff in that's nice and wide, and it'll sit nice and comfortably. Zipper is perfectly functional. And if you have a look inside the bag, you can see you've got a really nice wide space there for you to fit whatever you might need with those box corners. And magnetic closure, that's just a really quick, simple fix for something that you might need inside your bag. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I've satisfied all those requirements, and I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.